Hello, this is Tam, the Tam BOTC channel. We're going to do the next part, and I might do chapter 4 as well for this. So let's get the rest of this done. The sun had dipped below the horizon. By the way, this is Dragons of Deltora, Dragon's Nest by Emily Rodda Scholastic book. Credit to them. The sun had dipped below the horizon, and a huge full moon was rising, when 6 of Barda's strongest guards carried a shrouded burden from the sealed room on the 3rd floor of the palace. The guards were grim-faced. Each one of them was astounded at the enormous weight of the small thing that they carried. Each was filled with a nameless dread. Leaf walked in front of the guards. Barda walked behind. Both of them were bent forward, as if in pain, but neither paused or uttered a word as they moved along the hallway towards the stairs, and because they did not falter, the guards did not falter either. Suffering but uncomplaining, they heaved their hooded cargo forward over the rubble of the bricks that had once blocked the hallway, past the old library, down the great stairway, across the deserted entrance hall, out of the palace. Only when they had crossed the palace lawn and were moving down the hill did one of the guards speak. He was a guard called Niren, rescued not so long ago from slavery in the Shadowlands. "Where are we going, sir?" he gasped. "It would help, I think, if we could know. Is it far?" Leaf turned to him. Later, Niren would tell his wife that never had he seen such a tortured face as when the king turned to him that full moon night. Only the heavens knew that what the boy was going through, what was pouring into him from the nightmare beneath the cloth. Niren had volunteered for this task, and never regretted it for a single moment, though he had bad dreams for months after that terrible journey. He had heard nothing from the crystal, but still it had touched him. Long after he carried it, the weight of its evil seemed to press him down, to make it hard to breathe even in his own safe bed. And never would he forget Leaf's eyes. "The king just stared at me for a moment," he told his wife. "His eyes were like deep wells. His mouth opened, but no words came. It was as if he had forgotten how to speak. Then he croaked out an answer. 'Not far,' he said." I should have probably croaked then like a frog. "Then he pointed down the hill and across a bit, and I could see a sort of glow through the trees, only to Adin's old home and mine. Niren, only to the forge." Alright, on to chapter 4, Act of Faith, it's called. Jasmine was waiting at the partly open forge gates, Cree motionless on her shoulder. Both were lit by a weird red glow, and shadows leaped behind them. Above the great golden circle of the moon floated just clear of treetops that looked like black paper cutouts against the gray sky. As the strange procession from the palace stumbled into view, Cree gave a harsh cry. It was plainly a signal, for it was answered by a shout from within the forge. The red glow brightened. Jasmine pushed the gates fully open. Now the struggling guards could see the fiery blaze that within, and the powerful figure of the blacksmith working the bellows, increasing the heat, the muscles of his bare arms gleaming with sweat. "Jasmine, stay back!" Leaf gasped as the men behind him pressed forward, groaning under the weight of their terrible burden, but either he spoke too softly for Jasmine to hear, or she chose not to listen. She darted towards him. In another moment her arm was around his waist, and she was half supporting him as they moved through the gateway. Feebly he tried to push her away. "Don't, Leaf," she snapped. "If Barda can stand against him, so can I." Even as she spoke, the blood was draining from her face, but she held him tightly, and together they moved on. They drew closer to the fire and closer, till they could feel the burning heat on their faces. The blacksmith looked up as they approached, but still he worked the bellows, and the fire in the forge was like liquid flame. "It is as hot as I can make it," he shouted over the roaring sound. The faces of guards changed as they recognized him, as they saw with awe that this man, with the stripe of rag bond round his brow, the blacksmith with sweat pouring from his black streaked face, was the legendary Doom. Doom, a strange name, moved between them, whispering in the heated air. Doom, it is Doom, the video game. I mean, Doom, the mysterious scar-faced leader of the Resistance in the time of the Shadow Lord. Doom, the stern, solitary traveler. Doom, the ruthless one who still held the ruffians of Deltora in the palm of his hand. Hold on, way to over-obsess his name and use it. Oh, and it's not done yet. Doom, who had once sacrificed his whole world for his king. And here he stands, Leaf thought, in the place where he belonged before the Shadow Lord came, and everything changed. Where once he mended plows, forged swords, and made shoes for horses, where my gentle, gallant father stood, to in this his time, and where long ago Adin made the belt of Deltora. He stared at the glaring forge. Always before it had been used to create. Now it was to be used to destroy, if he could not find the strength. "You cannot defeat me." He saw that the guards had begun to struggle. It was as if the thing they carried had suddenly become 10 times heavier. They were dragging it now. 2 were already on their knees. "You cannot defeat me." Through a fury rays, Leaf saw Barda push between the men and grasp their shrouded burden with his own hands. Veins stood on in his neck as he heaved, his teeth bared, the great muscles of his arms and shoulders bulging through his shirt. The thing shifted a little. Barda heaved again, closer to the flame, a little closer. Close enough, but now they will never be able to lift it into the forge. Leaf thought suddenly. Pain pierced his head, doubling him over. By the way, I can never tell between when he's whispering and when the evil lord talks. Shadow Lord. Tearing him from Jasmine's grip. Dimly he heard Doom and Barda shouting, Jasmine calling his name, but their voices were distant. The only voice that was strong and real hissed viciously in his mind, in the still center of the whirlwind of pain. I am too strong for you. You cannot win. Blindly, instinctively, Leaf felt for the belt of Deltora. His fingers found the topaz. The gem seemed to quiver at his touch. It seemed to melt into his fingertips. Golden and warm, it seemed to become part of him. Topaz, symbol of faith, he thought hazily, and into his clouded mind sprang an image of words on a printed page. Words he had suddenly remembered that morning in the library. Words from the belt of Deltora. The small blue book that once he had carried like a talisman. The topaz is a powerful gem, and its strength increases as the moon grows full. The topaz protects its wearer from the terrors of the night. It has the power to open doors into the spirit world. It strengthens and clears the mind. The pain in Leaf's brain began to ease, and as he slowly straightened and stood upright once more, it seemed to him that many others were crowding around him. Faces clear and hazy, serious and serene. Shapes from the present and the past. Dozens of voices, hundreds, drowning out the other voices, speaking separately and together. Have courage, my son, we are with you. We will help you, boy. Have faith. King Leaf, we are thinking of you, as you asked. We would give you our lives. Leaf bent and seized the shrouded thing that stood before the forge, and it was as if hundreds of invisible hands were beside his own. He looked up, caught a glimpse of the panting, exhausted guards, Barda's baffled face, and Jasmine's green eyes dark with fear. Stand back, he shouted, and with one movement he swung the evil thing up, and slammed it upside down on the Fury Forge. Doom shouted in savage triumph. The guards groaned in amazement and terror. The thick cloth covering burst into flames and disappeared in a cloud of ash. The wooden frame of the table, its stubby legs sticking upward, began to burn. Get it off, shouted Doom. The wood will choke the coals. Jasmine sprang forward and pulled the table frame up and away from the sorcerer's glass. It had supported for so long. She threw it aside into the shadows, and it lay there, smoldering. And then the crystal lay on the forge alone, revealed to all. It lay on the fury coals, twisting like a live thing. Gray spirals edged with scarlet swirling on its rippling surface, and in its center was a hollow, whispering darkness. Barda turned to his guards. Get out, he bawled. Run, I order you. The guards scrambled up and did as they were bid. They were strong, brave men, every one, but afterwards none was ashamed to admit that he had taken to his heels and run for his life. The night the crystal burned on the forge in Dell, only Leaf, Barda, Doom, and Jasmine witnessed what happened next. But I'm going to have to end it there. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And we only always end with like just a couple pages off, which is dumb. Please leave comments below and like and subscribe. Support the channel. Thank you.